Morning, everybody. Yet the beard went away. Long story. I just kind of got tired of it. Anyway, people ask me once in a while, like, why do you do some of the stuff you do, right? Because I am a physicist by training, doctoral degree, spent a long time in academia, blah 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 blah. Right? Who cares? Yeah, I've had an interesting career. If you go look at the professional side, got to work on some really cool technology, including Patriot missile and a bunch of other stuff. Um, Bulletproof glass, you name it. I've gotten to work on some really cool stuff over the years. Nuclear physics was the most fun though. Thankfully, there were never blew anything up. But why Dungeons and Dragons? Why read all these fantasy books that you see on my website? Why do I write fiction novels? Well, as you hit the age I'm at now, I just turned 50 in a week or so. I turned 51. You start to look back and say, what got me where I am? Well, first off, I would never have become a scientist if I didn't spend a lot of time as a kid reading goofy books, sci-fi included. I've got a ton of sci-fi around the house. Lately, it's just been a fantasy thing. I've been reading all these old TSR, Dungeons and Dragons things, Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. What drives me to do this kind of stuff? Well, first off, when I was a kid, we didn't have cable. I remember the Atari 2600 coming home for the first time, right? I lived in that world where entertainment options were not everywhere. And now they are. They're kind of everywhere. There's more streaming channels than I know what to do with. You can find a TV show that you could sit and watch for hours. Well, when I was a kid, you didn't have that option, right? You had to kind of wait for it to come on. And if you missed it, you had to wait for reruns 6, 7 months later, and hopefully you caught it then. I predates VCRs, right? But I think as a society we miss a few things, and now it's easy to connect. You've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you've got all these other things. Well, when I was a kid, you didn't have that, and trying to make friends sometimes was challenging. Trying to find people you fit in with was challenging. Now you just go on Meetup, find a group of people interested in the same stuff in about 10 minutes, probably close to your house, that are meeting Thursday. You go sit and drink with them and have fun, talk, whatever. Well, these sorts of things, these fiction novels, they gave me something that I could escape into. I did have a few friends when I was a kid that liked to play Dungeons and Dragons. We got together. So this was sort of our social time. Well, now social time is anytime you pick up, your smartphone. You can go hang out on Facebook or Twitter and talk to a few people, chat, whatever. Well, for me, that's what this was. And I think as a society, we're starting to miss that a little bit. And I think we need to start to unplug. I know I'm sounding old. Oh, back when I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. No, hear me out. If we're going to continue to learn to work in a collaborative world, and we're going to try to get along and not let politicians and leaders divide us and say, you're Republican, you're Democrat, blah, blah, blah. If you want to learn to actually cooperate with people, which is what it takes to accomplish big things, you've got to learn to get along with people. You've got to learn to have that sense of community and see people three-dimensionally, and get along and learn to compromise and learn that it's okay if you agree on 80% of things and you disagree on 20%, as long as you'd have those disagreements respectfully. I think the world can go a lot more smoothly if we learn to understand that everybody has a point of view. Everybody's point of view is indeed valid, but you don't necessarily need to force your point of view on other people. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to get specific on one point of view or another. No. But I do think we can do better as a society. And I think it starts with people my age, and our kids and ultimately our grandkids, on trying to instill those values. And I don't think we've necessarily done as good a job as we should have. But we can do better, and I think we should. So that's kind of what drives me. I hope everybody has a nice day.